Oftentimes, as someone that does this sort of thing and also watches a lot of movies, I'm asked about film recommendations. People also ask me how I find these movies, why I watch the movies that I watch, and ultimately how to grow their own taste in films. Thought it would be a lot of fun to come on here today and give my personal tips and tricks of how to grow your own taste in films. I personally think there's a lot of benefits to growing your taste in movies and to watching a lot of movies. Ultimately, some people think that it can be a waste of time or just something to do every now and then, but I look at it as engaging with art, expanding your perspectives and your knowledge base, and learning new things about yourself and the world. Obviously, not every film is going to bring you that. Puppet Master 3 is not the same as Do the Right Thing, but ultimately, I think there is something to be gained from watching all the movies that you can. So with that, I've been Josh from Just Mash. Let's figure it out. I'd like to start by talking about Letterboxd. This is not an ad for Letterboxd. This is not a sponsorship, partnership, or anything of the sort with Letterboxd. But Letterboxd was huge in helping me grow my fandom in movies. I first discovered Letterboxd in December of 2014 and spent all day the next day at school logging all the films that I had seen and building out my profile. At that point, I think I was 15 or 16 years old, so I really looked at every movie I had seen in my entire life, made a profile, logged all of those films, and then started seeking out films similar to those and also checking off movies from my watch list of important films that I just hadn't seen yet. Now, I'm absolutely not recommending you look at movies and treat it as a task-based or goal-based system, but that is how I like to view things, and that's how I like to do things. I don't think that there's necessarily something lost with engaging with art if you're viewing it as sort of an accomplishment or a challenge, but ultimately I think some people get too caught up in that aspect and then end up watching like 7 or 8 movies a day that they don't even look at the screen for. It can be easy to get the adulation from adding something to your list on Letterboxd or marking something as watched or looking at your ratings graphs, getting followers, writing reviews. It can be very easy for it to tickle those sensory parts of your brain, but ultimately that's not the purpose of watching movies. Using Letterboxd is just a tool to help you do that. I think the first step really in for you personally figuring out what your taste in movies are is to look at your 5 favorite films. Sit down and really define what your favorite films are and why. Are they childhood classics? Are they the all-time greats? Are they the films that speak to you personally? Are they ones that might not be so good but you just love a lot, or vice versa? After you've picked those 5 favorite films, look at the directors of each film. Look at that director's filmography. Look at the actors in those movies and look at their filmographies. From there, you can start to understand what style is in filmmaking. By looking at a director and every film they've ever made, you can really start to see their arc as a creative and as an artist grow in the way that they develop and change over time with their filmmaking styles. From there, you can start to look at their influences and see the filmmakers that influence them and the films that influence them. At that point, you're really starting to grow your creative palette and understanding why filmmakers do the things that they do in those films and why it affects you personally on an individual level. A good example of this is Christopher Nolan, starting with his independent film Following all the way to Oppenheimer. In between there, you see him make films like Memento, The Prestige, The Dark Knight Trilogy, Inception, Tenet. You can see him really start to develop his own conversation skills within the sci-fi genre and the way that he likes to play with time and science. There's nuggets of that in his first film, Following, and it becomes fully fledged into a full-on Christopher Nolan epic in Tenet. Christopher Nolan has now fully developed his own style of filmmaking, something that will be emulated by people in the future. You can do the same sort of thing with people like David Fincher, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, Spike Jonze, Kevin Smith, Spike Lee, Sofia Coppola, and Charlie Kaufman. You could pick your favorite actors, maybe go with your top 5 favorite actors or the leads of your favorite 5 films and look at their careers. Start with their very first performances and go all the way to their most recent. Seek out what you think the best performances are or what the most acclaimed performances are and watch an actor grow. Not many actors stick to just one type of role, so you're going to be exposed to a lot of different filmmakers and genres throughout the arc of an actor's career. Another really great way to expand your film taste is to seek out best of lists. And I'm not talking about just, Josh's top 10 movies or anything like that. I'm talking about curated lists made by filmmakers and people within the industry, such as the Sight and Sound Top 250. Another good one would be the IMDb Top 250. Another good one is going on the Criterion.com website and looking at a bunch of individual filmmakers' top 10 films of all time. The Letterboxd Top 250 is another great example just because it's going to show you what the highest rated films are of all time from everybody. Or you could go a different route and seek out something like the highest grossing films of all time and watch the top 100 highest grossing films and maybe look into why those are the types of films that make the money that they do. You could get more specific. Top 100 films made by women, top 100 films made by people of color, top 100 animated films. There's plenty of different genres and categories that you can seek out to expand your own tastes. The last thing that I would really recommend right now for you to expand your knowledge in film is to seek out films that challenge you. If you're not a fan of documentaries, if you're not a fan of animation, if you're not a fan of international foreign films with subtitles, seek those movies out. Challenge yourself, challenge your views, figure out why you don't like these sorts of things, and maybe you'll learn something about yourself and what you like out of a film by watching the things that you're not necessarily interested in. I'm not saying make yourself sit through a boring 4-hour movie that you have absolutely no desire to see, but if there's a popular movie that you did not want to see, maybe seek that one out and start there. The other thing that I would say with challenging yourself as a film watcher is to seek out films that you actively disagree with. I'm not saying seek out problematic directors, but seek out people with an alternative view, people that maybe have tastes that are different from your own, and filmmakers that are polarizing, that have made films that a lot of people have both liked and disliked. Go after films that disrupt your personal worldview. Go after films from different countries that have different ways of doing things that we do. By doing this, not only are you going to grow your tastes as a film-watching person, but you will also just grow your tastes as a person. Part of life is learning and growing, and that is having your views and beliefs challenged on a regular, daily basis. If your mind is closed off and you don't have the opportunity to change your opinion, there's really no point in engaging with any sort of art or person on any sort of intellectual level. Fast and Furious films and Citizen Kane are not the same sort of thing on an intellectual level, obviously, but they both offer different sorts of things. You are not wrong for rating an Avengers film the same that you would rate Goodfellas. That does not make anybody wrong because film is subjective, and also they are offering you different things. Part of something you'll run into as someone that watches a lot of movies is a heavy amount of criticism from people that just dislike your taste. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody can have different tastes. It's all subjective. That's part of the fun. Ultimately, I think the thing that's the most fun about being a fan of movies, outside of being exposed to different perspectives, is the interaction within the community. Going to the theater, getting that theatrical experience in a comedy film of everybody laughing or a horror film of everybody getting jump scared, it's part of what makes the film fun. Cheering for the Avengers in Endgame or being afraid of Michael Myers in the theater, a lot of those movies enhance your experience ultimately and then makes it more fun to talk about with the people that you've seen the film with. Even if you don't use Letterbox, you can use tools like Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Plenty of ways out there for you to engage with film discussion and other film fans. There's plenty more that I could say about this topic, but I'll just end it there and say that for me personally, really opening myself up to different types of films and watching as many that I can has really changed my life for the better and ultimately opened my worldview up way more than it ever could have been before. Movies are not the way that everybody's going to engage with art, but for the people that do like the sort of visual storytelling medium, it's a perfect way to engage with it. If you're on Letterboxd, drop your username in the comments below. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you grew your personal filmmaking tastes. Subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, helps us grow. But I've been Josh from Just Mash. Until next time.